Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for today's topic, Internet Safety and Security. My name is Randy. I am an e-library specialist with the Jacksonville Public Library, and I'm happy to be your instructor for this topic. So let's go ahead and get started. So what to expect in this class and what we'll cover? Well, first we'll talk about why internet security is important, and then things we can do, whether that's securing our computer or securing our accounts by having strong passwords, secure browsing for when we submit a credit card number, and then finally, resources, some helpful websites and tools for more information. So why is internet security important? Well, the internet has made life convenient. We can order things online, check bank accounts, pay bills, and more. But with this convenience comes new risks. Sensitive information such as passwords, social security numbers, and credit card numbers can be stolen and used in identity theft. Computer files such as documents and photos can be lost. And online scams can trick us into losing money. So you might be thinking, whoa, hold on. It's a lot of bad stuff that can happen, and we're only 1 minute into class. Maybe I should just turn off this laptop and chuck it in the trash can and forget this whole internet thing. I don't even need it. So no, don't do that. That's not what I want you to take away from this class. I'm not trying to scare you and say, never use the internet. If we practice a few good habits and learn what to look for, we can minimize the risk of these bad things. If you think about a car, it's a convenient tool to get around town, but it's also dangerous. We drive high speeds on the interstate in a vehicle that weighs 2 tons, maybe more. But we practice a few good habits. We use our mirrors, turn signals, we wear a seatbelt, all to reduce our risk. So it's the same concept when using the internet. So what can we do? Well, let's start with securing your computer or device. And the biggest and easiest thing we can do is to make sure we update the software that we use. By software, I mean operating systems like Windows or Mac OS for a computer, or Android or iOS for phones and tablets. By programs and apps, I mean web browsers like Chrome or Firefox. Updates fix bugs, glitches, and they close security vulnerabilities. And yes, it's inconvenient because we have stuff to do. We don't have time to wait around for an update. Unfortunately, bad actors know this too, and they rely on the fact that we may wait a long time before updating, or even worse, we simply don't update at all. Now, if you haven't updated your OS on your device in a while, you'll want to check. The procedure could be slightly different depending on what you're using, so use Google to search for Windows Update or how to update iPhone 8 or something similar to that. Now, another type of software you want to keep updated is your web browser. If you use Microsoft Edge, it will update along with any Windows updates I just talked about. If you use Safari, same idea, it will update with any Mac OS updates. Chrome and Firefox, if you use those as your web browser, have to be updated individually. But these are also important because we use them on a daily basis going to websites. Another thing you want to make sure you have is some kind of antivirus software. Antivirus software is a program that prevents malicious software from being installed and can scan and remove it. If you have a Windows 10 computer, it's already built in and it's called Windows Security, or formerly Windows Defender, and you don't necessarily need to change it. But you do have the option to download other antivirus alternatives that are free or paid. Paid options usually offer other services such as anti-phishing and anti-spam protection, password managers, things like that. I also want to point out, if you have Xfinity, you have access to antivirus that you can take advantage of if you want. They offer Norton as part of your subscription. Another thing to keep in mind, only have one antivirus and stick with it. More than that will slow down your computer and not provide extra benefit. And then the same rule about software updates applies here. Keep these updated so it looks for the latest threats. And that's some basics with securing your computer. So let's move on to securing accounts. And that starts with passwords, which are the key to your accounts. It can be a pain remembering multiple passwords, each with different requirements, but it's important. So let's start with things you shouldn't do. All right, so don't do these things. Don't use nicknames, birthdays, anniversary dates. Basically, don't use personal information. This is especially true if you share a lot of information about yourself on social media sites. Bad people will use this against you. Also, don't use the same password for everything. You want strong and unique passwords for each account, especially for important ones like email, banking, online shopping, things like that. The reason for this is if someone gets a hold of a password through you or a data breach, they will try that same password on other websites to see if it works. And if you use the same password for everything, then all of your accounts are compromised. Think of it like a master key. If I had a key that can unlock everything in my house, everything at work, unlock my car, or start my car, life would be pretty convenient until I lose it. And if someone bad finds it, they can access anything they want. They can take everything from my house, load it into my car, and drive off into the sunset, right? So it's the same thing with passwords. Keep things separate. So what should we do? Well, we want to start by creating a long password, at least 12 characters, but the more the better. Longer passwords make it a lot harder for computers to guess. When we make that long password, we want to try and mix uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. Now, putting those 2 points together, we want to think more of a passphrase rather than a password, something long but memorable. Now, I'll share with you a couple of methods that I like for doing this. There's more than this, but these again are the two that I like. And the first one has you think of a famous person at a famous place doing something completely random. So for this example, I have Abraham Lincoln eating 20 Kit Kats at the Grand Canyon. So I take the first letter of each word and it becomes this: Abraham Lincoln eating 20 Kit Kats at the Grand Canyon. Now, another method that I like is using 4 or more random words, and I like to put it in a phrase. So for this example, castaway crayons steal manatee. I just take the spaces out of those, and this becomes my password. So I have a picture of a rogue group of crayons who go out and they steal a manatee. And this is just a completely random phrase. You may have a few questions like, why did they steal a manatee? And how? Did they get caught? So I don't know the answers because this is a completely random phrase, and that's my point. This is something unique and funny to me, but probably something you wouldn't have guessed as my password. If I gave you 10,000 guesses, you probably would not have come up with this phrase. Now, the key thing to remember about this method is it's got to be random. If your password is cute puppies are awesome, which is completely true, and I support you 100%. But if you run a dog rescue and you have a puppy calendar up at work with 20 other pictures, you tell your coworkers, hey, cute puppies are awesome, and you share that on Facebook, then that's not random and it's easier to guess. Now, if you're like me, you have a million passwords and maybe you keep them in a notebook or on your phone. Well, using a password manager is another option. And what it is it's a program or app that stores and encrypts all of your usernames and passwords and automatically fills them in when you visit websites. This way, you only need to remember the one password you create for the password manager. So make it a strong one using the tips from before. Now, there are free and paid subscriptions available, and some examples are LastPass and 1Password. So you can take a look at those and read up on it to see if it's something that's for you. You also want to make sure you log out of your accounts, especially if you share a computer. You could have the most awesome password in the world, which is obviously castaway crayons steal manatee. But it wouldn't matter if you log in and walk away. You've done all the hard work for someone else to just come after you and look through your accounts. They don't have to guess, they just sit down and go through your stuff. So take the extra 10 seconds and log out. Again, let's say you have the best password, but it's useless if you just give it away. And that's the point of phishing scams. Phishing scams are a type of scam that tricks you into giving sensitive information. Usually it looks like an email from a bank, an online store, or the IT department at work. If you receive one of these, don't click any links or call any phone numbers that are listed in the email. If you think it's legitimate, you can go to the website by typing it in yourself or calling a phone number you find on the back of your credit card or contacting your IT department directly. So let's take a look at an example of one from gcflearnfree.org. So here's an example of one, and I'm going to read through this, and then we'll look at a few things that make this a phishing email. So it says, "Dear customer, at Bank of America, your satisfaction is our #1 priority. We have recently added an advanced online security option for our customers with online accounts. It is urgent that you go to our website and add advanced online security to your account. Click on the following and update your information." So they want us to click on this link here. Now, if you do not take these steps, in order to protect you, we will put a hold on your account and you will be required to visit your local branch to verify your identity. Thank you for helping us to make Bank of America the safest bank on the internet. There's a little bit more fluff down there, but it ends with sincerely, Bank of America Online Security Department. So on the surface, this looks like a real email, but it's not. So what makes it fake? Well, let's start at the top with who it's from. Now here it says from Bank of America, and the email is customer service at Bank of America, wait a minute, bankofamerican.com. So if we're going through this email quickly, we're just skimming through it, we may not notice this similar address or this slight variation. Another thing to look for is this sense of urgency. Here the subject says fraud alert, action required. So phishing emails usually give this sense of urgency. You must act now and give us your credentials or something bad or inconvenient will happen. This makes you want to act emotionally and immediately and do whatever they ask of you to make this go away. So just slow down and think about this. You'll also notice this logo here. A logo in an email does not make it official. Anyone can go on Google and find this image in 30 seconds and put it in an email. Phishing emails also usually have a generic greeting. Dear customer, dear valued customer, because they don't know your name. You also want to watch out for these links here. Even though it says bankofamerica.com on the surface here, underneath it's been rigged to go to a different website of their choosing. So make sure you type it in yourself if you want. And again, here's this sense of urgency, right? If you do not take these steps, they are going to put a hold on your account. So then you can't use your debit card or your credit card. But again, it's fake, and they want you to do this immediately and not think about this. So again, this is an example of a phishing email and what to look for when you get one. So lots of places offer free Wi-Fi to their customers. It's a great service, but we want to be careful because it's not as secure as the one you have at home. Now, just because you see a network that says free hotel Wi-Fi or free Starbucks Wi-Fi doesn't mean that's the real one. If you see more than one listed and you're not sure, ask an employee. You also want to try avoid accessing bank accounts or other sensitive things on public Wi-Fi. Now, I'm not saying never do it. If it's your only option because your internet is down at home or your printer doesn't work and you need to print something out, like tickets or important documents, then by all means do it. But just try not to make a habit of it. If you can do it from home, do that instead. Now, if you are going to access important accounts, try switching to your phone's data connection as another option. It's generally more secure than public Wi-Fi. Now let's talk about safe browsing. And the key thing we want to note here is looking for an HTTPS and a padlock. So whenever we're on a form where we need to submit sensitive information like a password or credit card number, we want to make sure we see HTTPS and a padlock. Now, these mean two things. First thing is, the information we send will be encrypted, and only the website we're sending this information to will be able to read it. The second thing these mean is that the website we're on has been given a security certificate showing it has been verified and is legitimate. So this website we're really on is really Amazon, or I really am logging into Gmail. So let's visit Bank of America and see an example of this. So here I am at Bank of America on their website. And you'll notice here, if I want to access my account, I have to put in an online ID and a passcode. Now, before I do that, I want to again make sure that I see a padlock and HTTPS. Let's start with a padlock. And it's up here in the address bar, and you notice here the padlock. And if I click on it, you can see here it says connection is secure. You'll also notice this certificate here issued to Bank of America Corporation. And if I hover over it, it shows who it was issued by. So that's good. Now as for the HTTPS, that's also up here in the address bar. Now I'm using Chrome, so I have to do an extra step here to make it pop up. And all I have to do is just double click on the address here, 1, 2. And there it is, HTTPS. So I have that in the padlock, and now I know if I put in my online ID and my passcode, it's secure when I do that. And now we're at the home stretch with resources. The first one here is www.identitytheft.gov. So if you fall victim to identity theft, you can report it to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, which is a federal agency. It also has an in-depth checklist of some steps you can take to help limit the damage. So maybe you should freeze your credit or talk to your utilities, things like that. Things that maybe you weren't thinking of if this happens to you. Another good website is www.consumer.ftc.gov. And here they have the current and popular scams. As you can imagine, a lot of it has to do with coronavirus nowadays. And then this last resource here, www.haveibeenpwned.com. And this website has a comprehensive list of reported data breaches. And here you can type in your email to see if your information was stolen in a data breach and what kinds of information. So let's take a look at that website and see how it works. So here I am at haveibeenpwned.com, and you'll notice here there's a little bar here to put in an email address. So I'll go and type in a random one, thing1@att.net. And so you'll notice here down here at the bottom it says good news. So if this is your email, you can sleep well at night. You're good to go. Now let's check out their sibling though, thing2@att.net, and see how they're going. And we'll see here that unfortunately, their information was breached on 10 websites. So we can scroll down here to see a list of those websites. Now here on the left, we can see where it was stolen from. On the right is a paragraph with more details about what exactly happened. And if that's too long to read, I have a little snippet here that tells me what exactly was stolen. So the point of this is that maybe you'll see a password was stolen on one of these websites here. And maybe I use that same password on 2 or 3 other sites. So I should think about going to those accounts and changing the password there so somebody can't access those accounts as well. Again, especially if they're really important ones. It's a good idea to check this website every so often because unfortunately, there are always new breaches and this list will update if you're affected. So that is it for this class. We started with learning how to secure devices by updating our software. We learned how to secure our accounts with strong passwords, how to identify a secure website with a padlock and HTTPS, and then these resources here for more information. I hope you enjoyed this class. Again, my name is Randy, and it was my pleasure being your instructor. We hope to see you again in the future session.